Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much for joining me today. And we're just talking a little bit about your experience in the past, 7 weeks inside of Macro Method. First, can you just tell a little bit about yourself? Are you a mom? Are you working? What's your background?
Yep. So I'm Amanda. I'm 39. I am married with two kids, and their ages 8 and 6. And I work a point eight, so like 4 days a week. And I'm a nurse anesthetist. So busy schedule, usually normal hours, but we stay late sometimes. I still work overnights and weekends on occasion. So yeah, just kind of a busy like schedule that I'm keeping up between work and like family things and kids activities and kids in school full time. So
Oh, yes, I can relate. I can relate.
yeah.
Okay, what was your dieting history before you started the macro method? Like if you could just explain like what you've done in the past.
hmm so I've probably been dieting on and off since I was 16, unfortunately.
Mm.
I think around my late teens, I started to put on a little bit of weight. I was an active teenager. But later in life, I found out I had PCOS. And so I kind of wonder if my weight gain started then, was, hormone related or maybe just puberty. It's hard to know. But so I think I started dieting around then, and I probably dieted on and off, most of my life. There's been periods where I didn't diet. I think there were some periods in my life where I felt happy with where I was at. I wasn't, maybe super thin, but I wasn't feeling super overweight. But throughout my adult life, I've done a lot of diets. I've done Nutrisystem. I've done Whole30. I think I dabbled in paleo briefly. I've done basically like calorie restricted diets, where you try to aim for like that 1,200 calories a day. Um, and then, around the time I was having kids, I didn't diet a lot, but was actually feeling okay about myself. And after my daughter was born, when she was about 9 months old, I joined like Beachbody. And I feel like that's when I like restarted this cycle of diets and like extreme restriction. And that worked really well for a while because I hadn't been exercising post baby stuff.
Mhm.
But then I think that really backfired because they put you in an extreme calorie deficit, and their workouts are kind of hard to sustain too.
Mhm.
So I think I've done a little bit of everything, and I've always been successful because I'm kind of type A. So I always like go all in, like, okay,
Mhm.
this is what I'm doing. And then as soon as I'm not doing that anymore, then I'm not doing anything,
Mhm. Is
and then easy to put the weight back on.
is that why you feel like you haven't been able to keep up with it?
I think
Probably.
so. I think I've just always had a hard time finding a balance.
Mhm.
Um, or yeah, like it's too hard to maintain an extreme calorie deficit, I think.
Exactly. Who wants
Mhm.
to live like that?
No.
Why were you maybe hesitant to join the my 7 week macro method? Just being honest.
I think in the past I've done things where, like you've paid money for some program and then you don't stick with it. Or, you pay money for something, you stick with it, but then when the time is up, you just kind of go back to your old habits or your old ways. And so I thought, okay, this is kind of, it's a decent amount of money. I mean, I can afford it, but it's like it's an investment. And then I'm like, am I even going to follow through? Or am I going to get to the second week and be like, oh, this, I don't really like doing this. I'm not going to do it, even though I invested this money. So I was just hesitant that I would, I guess, fail. um that was probably my biggest concern, I guess. I thought your program seemed cool. And I actually thought, here's something I really haven't done before.
Mm.
I've done like when I did Nutrisystem, I think there was like a blog that people posted on, and I did like that, but there was no actual coach. And I thought, well, this way I have an actual coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think
people are into like I mean, people are into therapy now. And I know like that, I feel like that's really good for people just to have that like one-on-one interaction with someone or group setting.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is kind of like that, but with a nutrition and like fitness mindset.
Yes, absolutely. Why did this approach inside of 7 weeks, with group coaching and just having someone there for you? Why do you feel like this has worked the best for you, especially with PCOS? Because I find women with PCOS really struggle to lose the weight. It makes it a lot harder because you're fighting, against insulin, sensitivity
Yes.
and stuff like that.
I think the accountability was really nice, knowing that you were going to be checking my logs midway through. Then I couldn't just take a day off or take, like obviously not every day is going to be perfect, but I felt like I had that drive to like, okay, I just have to keep logging. I just have to keep doing this, build this habit. So that really helped me. And then I also think having that protein goal, when you really start measuring everything and looking at everything, you can't add a lot of processed or like, I don't know what the word is. You can't add a lot of foods that aren't nutritionally dense,
Yeah. Yeah.
outside of what you're eating. So if you eat a good breakfast, first of all, you're not hungry for a morning snack, but then you're not going to have like a donut that's sitting in the break room, right? Because you've already had breakfast and you had a good breakfast.
And you feel satisfied. So
You
you
feel
don't.
more satisfied and you also feel like I've already eaten, I didn't skip breakfast. I didn't skip lunch. You're balancing, like you say, you're balancing your plate. You're having your protein, you're having your carb, you're having a fruit, a vegetable, and you just feel more satisfied. Like I look at what I'm eating for lunch now and I'm eating like maybe a bowl of leftover chili that I made last night, but it's measured out and it's like a big bowl of chili and it's satisfying and it has nutrients and it has fiber and protein. And I just feel like I'm way more satisfied and I'm probably I'm guessing balancing my hormones better by having
Yeah.
protein, carbs, and having them in the right proportion.
I agree. I think for someone with you and your background too, like that breakfast and having that balance of all the nutrients is crucial, especially
Mm-hmm.
first thing in the morning, so that you can manage, your symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what were some of the most beneficial parts? I think you said the accountability piece, but
Mm-hmm.
having someone there.
I think I think you do a good job helping us get like on board. You have to do your measurements and your weight and all that, which is like uncomfortable. And then you get set up with the app. And so then you've got, I think it's very structured. It's very organized. So that's really nice for me. You're not just like winging it. You're setting a calorie goal for us. You're setting a protein goal. And so you're like, okay, I just have to do this. I just have to like execute it versus like walking around being like, I don't know what I should eat for lunch. Like, should I
Right.
have carbs or not
Yeah.
carbs? Or,
Yeah.
so I think that was nice. And then, I think the educational calls were really nice because you feel kind of like you're doing it on your own sometimes. Like my husband has never been on a diet. Obviously my kids aren't on a diet, or like watch what they eat or care, whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to have the check-in. Like I think a lot of the meetings were on Wednesdays, which was really cool because you're in the middle of your week, you're just kind of grinding it out and you're cooking and you're measuring stuff. And it's, it's not crazy, but it's work. So it was nice to hear like other people are doing it. And then for you to just like reinforce that behavior, I think is super helpful.
Did you find your kids ever asked you, or like, did you feel uncomfortable measuring around your children or anything like that?
Honestly, not really. I kind of just told them like, I'm trying to eat like more protein and eating more, making sure I eat vegetables and making sure I'm eating the right amount. I feel like they didn't really question it. The other thing that was nice was, I mean, generally we were eating the same things.
Yeah.
And I hate eating something different from
Yeah.
my family. So I think, like even last night we did pasta and I used like the protein pasta and
Yeah.
I made them like a different pasta because they're really weird about like they want the pasta that they're used
Oh yeah. It's like the thing with Kraft mac and cheese. It's like,
to. Right.
yeah, I
Like,
get it. You want your Kraft, but we can have this too. Oh
but
yeah. all
I
the
was like,
time.
well, I'll just like measure mine out. And then we still had like the same like meat sauce. And I don't
Yeah.
feel like they really like super questioned it. Like there's like, oh, okay, like whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
So did you ever feel restricted during this time frame?
Um, I guess the only thing that was hard was so we went on vacation when I was 1 week in.
Yeah,
So
that
that was really crappy because the first 2 weeks are the hardest, as you say. And I think it's true anytime I've like been in a calorie deficit. So I was hungry and like no one else was like doing, anything
vacationing.
that that was hard,
Yeah. Outside of
Um,
vacations though, which is tough. And
right. But then I think about my life and I'm like, there really isn't a good time to do it because there's always a vacation. There's always like an event or, oh, we're like going to be gone this weekend at, my in-laws house or, what,
yeah,
there's always an excuse. So yeah, the timing maybe wasn't the best, but I mean, given that it started in August, it was just so nice, like coming into like back to school and stuff and not being like, oh, I have to start now. It
right.
was still actually a really good time to start.
But it was busy and you were navigating a bunch, but you
Right.
managed to,
Right.
get
Exactly.
results. What were your results? Let's talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. So we just finished 7 weeks. And then so from the start of that to today, I lost 12 pounds in a little over 7 weeks. And I think like 8.5 inches.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Right.
Like, how do you feel though? Not just about the scale and the measurements
Mhm.
and stuff. Like,
So
how does
much better.
your energy feel? How
Yeah.
you're sleeping? Like, what are those feelings like?
Um, I feel like, yeah, like all my clothes fit better. You know how, like you wear the same clothes no matter what your weight is, but they're just something they're tight. So, they like my clothes all fit better. I feel a lot more energized. I
Yeah.
feel like when it's time to go to bed at night, I'm tired, but I'm not, I feel like before I was exhausted. Like
Yes.
I just was so tired.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I have a lot more energy. I feel like I have a lot more energy during the day to just like get tasks done.
That's
Yeah.
huge,
So
mom.
that's really nice. Yeah. Just being able to like more multitask and do things and not feeling so drained all the time.
Yeah.
I'm still tired because that's just like being an adult and being a mom. But I think my
Yeah.
energy is a lot better. And yeah, I feel a lot better. I think your confidence goes up a lot when
Yeah.
you just like lose some weight. You don't feel as sluggish.
No, there is
It's
just
weird.
something to be
Yeah.
said for that. Like, it isn't about weight loss, but as we transition to the next phases, do you feel that this is something that is manageable in your lifestyle, or do you feel
Mhm.
like you have a newfound way of eating so that you don't feel like after the deficit's over, you're gonna, like you can maintain this way of eating and really like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I do. I feel like it's a very normal way of eating.
yeah,
I mean, I'm definitely eating way like a lot more protein than what I was, but you really get used to it and you just kind of get used to like eating, certain foods that are more nutrient dense, and that it's gonna help fill you up and keep you satisfied. Um, so yeah, I think it's not super hard to get your protein in once you start doing it.
practice,
Know?
right? It's just
And
about
you have to cook dinner and eat no matter what. So
practice.
I don't think that this actually adds that much aside from like probably keeping some more protein options available, like things in the freezer that,
Yes.
just like keeping like ground chicken in the freezer or, some like lean ground beef. And then, like, oh, I could just make something with this.
Yeah, I mean, I think so many times, and maybe you can relate, is that people really try to overcomplicate the process. Like, you
Absolutely.
really don't need I strive for like recipes with like 5 ingredients just because I don't have time. But as
Mhm.
a busy mom, like once you get into a groove in your system, like with your family, don't you feel that now you're not like going into the meal times and thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to eat?
Mhm.
I know what I need to have on my plate, and my kids can eat something very
Right.
similar.
Yeah. And I think that I honestly have always felt like when I track that I was always eating less, like my plate was less. Like, oh, I'm going to be eating, way back when I was like, oh, I'm going to eat 1,200 calories. And so then when you have like a bowl of soup, it's, a third the size of everyone else's, but it's really not like that. If you're making healthy meals, if you're making like protein dense recipes with soups, whatever, like when I look at how much is on my dinner plate, I'm like, that's actually a lot.
I
I
know.
mean, it's way more than I would have eaten before, which is,
Yeah.
odd, but I'm not grabbing handfuls of chips and eating like 3 cookies and doing that stuff where, you're like getting calories that way.
Which we have our moments, but
Yes.
it's not that you don't feel that urge as much anymore now that you
Oh
are
no. I
more
feel like it's
satisfying.
just eliminated. And I think part of it is having a more like nutrient dense diet, but I think a lot of it is the habit building,
Yeah.
just like that's not something I do anymore because I
Yeah.
eat 3 meals a day and my meals are nutritious. And so,
Yeah.
I don't need to do that.
Was the app overwhelming, helpful? Was it
I
nice?
think it was, I think it was helpful. It really simplified it. You had a checklist of what you had to do that day. If you're, and it was nice at the beginning because you told the group like you're not going to hit everything this week because at first I was like, okay, I have to do this, and I was like very like type A about it,
Yeah.
and then you're like, okay, like ease into it, like you're not going to hit your fiber goal every day, you're maybe not going to hit your calorie goal the first day, you might not hit your protein goal for a week, but
Yeah.
once you do and you start getting in that groove, it's like nice to check that off and be like, hey, I'm doing it. And it's a nice way to check in, I think, just with yourself.
Do you find that this is sustainable for busy moms
Yes.
navigating a lot of,
Yeah.
times of kids sports and stuff like that? Or what kind of advice would you give to somebody if they, were
Uh,
hesitant?
I mean, you do have to have a little bit of time. And I mean, I think you mentioned that you have to have a little bit of time to get your workouts in and to spend a little time like on the app and tracking stuff. But I think the time you spend on it gets less and less because it becomes just more automatic. So I think you do have the time.
Yeah.
I think you're going to just waste the time somewhere else if you don't
That's
do
a good
this.
way to look at it. I feel like a lot
Yeah.
of us have time. We just need to like refocus where our
Yeah.
time is spent.
Where it is. Yeah.
And that's hard. But once you get in a good pattern and a good
Mhm.
system down in your family,
Right.
I just think that it really makes it like I don't even look at like dinner time. I used to stress about that too so
Mhm.
much, or just meals in general. And it's like, it's part of my life now. So I don't even
Yeah.
think about it. And that's
Yeah.
such a relief because now I can focus
Yeah.
other aspects of my life to other things and other areas.
I agree 100%. And I think even the time you're investing in it, you're building a healthy habit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
There's nothing better than just being able to build habits that can last long times. Whereas I feel
Mhm.
that a lot of those fad diets, and I don't know if you can relate, are only simply focused on just a short amount of time, but they
Mhm.
don't really teach you what really like it should look like all year long, not
Long
just
term.
in
Mhm.
30 days or 60 days.
Exactly.
But these types of things that you are going to be continuing on doing are things that you would probably already somewhat do, right, in your
Right.
life.
Exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
not like some big change. You just had to refocus and reshift some of your habits around.
Correct.
Yeah. You're so positive and such a
Oh,
pleasure.
thank you.
We're not done. We still have lots more time under our belts. I cannot
Yeah.
even wait to see your pictures and just all through
Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
8 or 9
7
weeks
more weeks.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I'm glad I did it. I think I have built those really good like habits and I feel really good about that. And when I look at my fitness pal, I'm on like day 52 of tracking, which is awesome. But I'm like, this is just going to be like times 2 now because I'm going to just keep going with the group and, keep learning and just
you're
keep reinforcing the habits.
you're like going to be ahead of the game now, so you'll be a good help for the next round. Did you find
Oh, yeah.
training to be time consuming maybe at first, but then
Yeah. I mean, I think I had such a history of like dieting and tracking that I kind of know how to do that. But I did find using that scale, like the little food scale from Amazon, super helpful.
I
I had
know.
never done that before, and it just is more precise. And it really just helped you to see like, wow, I can eat like a ton of vegetables or like a ton of fruit.
Mhm.
Um, when I actually weigh that out, and it doesn't like add that much to my calories for the day, but yet I'm getting fiber. And so I
Yeah.
think that was really helpful.
Yeah.
Um,
This food scale is so intimidating to people, but I
yeah,
feel like it just helps you bring awareness to like, oh my God, I was eating like 2 slices of turkey and that's nothing. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like
right. Whereas if
you're
you're now,
actually,
if I make a turkey sandwich, it's like very thick and
yeah,
very
you're
filling.
loading the turkey on. You're like, oh my God, this is
Yeah,
the biggest sandwich I've
yeah.
ever eaten.
Yeah. So I think it was hard at first. I think partially because I was traveling and because
Yeah.
I'm working, so I'm bringing my lunch. So like it is a lot,
Yeah.
but it, like I said, I think the first week was the most time consuming. And then I think you just spent less time as the weeks go on,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time.
Yes.
And
Thank you. I'm excited.
we're not done. So we'll
I
be
know.
seeing where you're at by Thanksgiving time. I can't
I
even wait.
know.
I
I
can't
love that ends right before Thanksgiving. That's
wait.
just perfect.
Then we're all going to have ourselves a Thanksgiving, right?
For sure. Yeah.
All right, Amanda, have a good
All right.
day. I'll talk
Okay.
to you
Thanks,
soon.
Molly.
Bye.
Bye.